You're listening to the Quint's podcast.
Several states have eased lockdown restrictions and have started opening as the second wave of COVID-19 seems to be ebbing across the country, with less than 50,000 cases being registered on 22nd June. However, the near reopening of the economy also led to COVID-19 norms like social distancing, wearing masks being blatantly defied by the public. Photos of crowded markets and malls have been doing the rounds on social media. In Uttar Pradesh, thousands of devotees reportedly even gathered to take a dip in the Ganga, flouting all COVID norms. Meanwhile, a new mutation of the deadly Delta variant has also emerged, called the Delta Plus. The Health Ministry on 22nd June tagged it as a variant of concern as 40 cases of this mutant variant have been reported in the country. Given that the second wave was born out of a lackadaisical attitude from the government and citizens, and the fact that majority of Indians are still not vaccinated, are we unlocking too much too soon? To answer this, for today's episode, we spoke with Dr. Shahid Jamil, a virologist and the director of Trivedi School of Biosciences at Ashoka University, and Dr. Chandrakant Laharia, a public system expert. You're tuned in to The Big Story, the podcast where we dissect the headline-making news for you, and I'm your host, Himmat. So, what we know about Delta Plus or B161721 is that it's a close relative of the Delta variant, which was a major contributor to the second wave. Like Delta, the Delta Plus variant has a mutation in the spike protein region of the RNA virus, which potentially makes it more transmissible. In short, the Health Ministry has found that the Delta Plus has increased transmissibility, stronger binding to receptors of lung cells, and has a reduced response to monoclonal antibody cocktails. There are over 40 cases of this variant reported in India as of 23rd June, according to an NDTV report. 21 cases in Maharashtra, 6 in Madhya Pradesh, 3 in Kerala, 3 in Tamil Nadu, 2 in Karnataka, and 1 each in Punjab, Andhra Pradesh, and Jammu. The Delta Plus variant has also been detected in 9 other countries, with countries like US, UK, China, and Russia on the list. We got in touch with Dr. Shahid Jamil, a renowned virologist and the director of the Trivedi School of Biosciences at Ashoka University, to understand more about Delta Plus, and he states that the mutation seen in Delta Plus is same as the mutation in the Beta variant, first reported in Africa. And through studies and trials, vaccines did not show very good efficacy against this particular mutation.
As you know, the Delta variant is something that developed over the past few months and expanded very quickly in India during the second wave. And it possibly is something that seeded the second wave. Now, what has happened with Delta Plus is that in the Delta background, a new mutation has come up. Now, if this was any mutation at random, we would not be worried so much. But this particular mutation, which is called K417N, is a mutation that was earlier seen in the beta variant, which first came up in South Africa. And we know from studies on various vaccine trials as well as otherwise that vaccines have not shown very good efficacy in trials in South Africa at the time when the beta variant was circulating there. So just because this particular mutation was part of the beta variant and now it has come in the delta variant, that's a matter of concern. So you can sort of think of it as two variants of concern coming together. Now, whether the effect of this is going to be neutral, meaning no increase in transmissibility, no further increase in immune evasion, or whether the effect is going to be additive, or whether the effect is going to be more than the sum of parts, is something that we don't know yet. So it's a good thing to be concerned about it and to keep a watch on it. And although calling something a variant of interest or a variant of concern, that's a nomenclature that's usually decided on a global level by WHO. But I think since this mutation has come up in something that was already a variant of concern, it is logical to call it also as a variant of concern. that's the status of it. And I believe from India, we have now detected somewhere around 20 to 30. I'm not sure of the exact number. There are 7 sequences in public databases, but newspaper reports have reported another 20.
Right.
And I have some unofficial uh, information that there may be 3 more from Punjab. So that probably brings the number to close to 30.
There is very little data available on the Delta Plus variant currently, since the number of cases reported across the world stands only at 200. As far as vaccine protection goes, the Health Ministry has stated that the vaccines being administered in India, Covishield and Covaxin, are effective against the variant. However, the ministry added that the extent and proportion of antibody concentration that these vaccines produce would be shared in the coming days only. With the Delta Plus variant being labeled as a variant of concern, coupled with the reopening of many states across India, fears of a third wave are slowly cropping up. But according to Dr. Jamil, the concerns of Delta Plus causing a third wave are premature and hard to say, and given the characteristics of this variant, theoretically, he does not see it taking place.
So it's very hard to say. Uh, Delta plus could fuel a third wave, sort of a third wave, only if it turns out to be far more infectious than Delta, which is circulating in the community now. And from the signatures in this virus, theoretically, I don't see that happening. But then we'll have to keep a watch on it and see how it moves in the population. That's important.
The violations of health protocols and the heightened level of public complacency in following COVID appropriate behavior, especially in Delhi, also reached the courts. A Delhi High Court bench on 18 June, citing photos which depicted crowded markets and street vendors in Delhi flouting COVID protocols, asked the central and state governments to undertake stringent measures to prevent the next surge and directed for the deployment of the police and civil defense in marketplaces. Not only the courts, the health ministry also advised 3 states, Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, and Kerala, where the Delta Plus variant has been reported, to take up immediate containment measures, enhanced testing, and tracking. But with the second wave subsiding, most states and union territories in India are reopening and easing restrictions to restore the ailing economy. However, some experts are of the view that this decision was unscientific. In an earlier interview with the Quint, Dr. K. Srinath Reddy, president of the Public Health Foundation of India, warned of the folly of opening up too soon, stating that, and I quote, hasty measures that give the virus a free passage will lead to a morale shattering shutdown again. You can find a link to this interview in our show notes. We also got in touch with Dr. Chandrakant Laharia, a virologist and a public system expert, and he is of the opinion that state governments should first allow outdoor spaces like parks to open, study public behavior, and only then open indoor spaces in a graded manner.
So we need to remember one thing that since the virus is going to stay here for a while, we need to open up and unlock, remove the restrictions which have been put around. These restrictions cannot go on forever, especially when virus is here to stay. So the best strategy that we learn from the past and we utilize science to unlock. We need to remember that what had happened after the first wave. Government had removed the restriction and then it appeared that as if it had forgotten that anything need to be done. And we cannot afford to do that. Now we need to remember, and if we look around, there are a few things we have learned that the science that virus is spread through airborne mode also. So we need to follow different processes. But we also need to remember in some other countries, for example, UK, the United Kingdom prepared a detailed unlock plan which was spread over many months, and then they had when they saw emerging variant, which is understanding of science, because we learned variant through science. Then they extended that the process to remove restriction by another 1 month. And I think I'm not saying that copy that UK strategy. I'm saying that apply science to develop a graded strategy, something what Mumbai had done. Delhi has not done that well. We also need to remember that science now tell us that we need to open indoor spaces later or outdoor spaces first. So we open outdoor spaces and then we see the behavior of the people and then we open the indoor spaces. While opening the indoor spaces such as malls and pubs and bars, it will be very important that the dialogue is organized with the owners of these shops to make them help them understand that how to improve ventilation. Can they be allowed some flexibility to operate from outside, from the open space while they have an indoor shop? So those kind of dialogue need to be done. Similarly, one of the approach could be that we know that there are markets which are crowded and people are not adhering to COVID appropriate behavior. In those markets, there had to be very granular strategies. Maybe, as an example, government can observe those markets, and if people are not adhering to those protocols, then those markets need to be temporarily closed to convey the message that okay, you are not following, then you have to follow the challenge. And in that way, the shopkeeper association other can be involved. Similarly, if markets are crowded and nothing is working, I think a punitive measure will not be the only approach, but other approach could be restricting the entry of number of people inside that area. These are some of the solution, but these are not the only solution. The way Indian government had put the micro containment strategy for containing the virus. Similarly, the micro strategy for restriction removal and restriction implementation should be implemented. So there can be many ways through which this strategy can be implemented.
In the past few months, a sort of race has emerged between vaccines and variants. Take the UK, for example, where the government has taken effective measures to combat the pandemic, from imposing a strict and prolonged lockdown and vaccinating at least 80% of the population with one dose of the vaccine. According to the government's plan, the country was set to reopen completely on 21st June. However, a sudden rise in COVID cases due to the Delta variant has dampened the plan of many UK residents, and the UK government has now extended the lockdown till 19 July. Dr. Laharia believes that the UK is a good reminder that as long as the virus continues to revolve around us, new mutations will continue to emerge, adding that the need for getting the jab is more important than ever.
There is a very important message in these two things. One, Britain achieved a very high level of vaccination coverage, and then Delta variant emerged in different parts of the world, and now it is becoming a major challenge in Britain also. So this reminds us two things: that vaccines are protective, we should get vaccinated, but it also reminds that unless vaccine reach to different parts of the world, all parts of the world, there would be new emergence of variants which can affect those countries also which are already vaccinated. So no country should feel that they can be protected just because they have vaccinated their country. So it's our common global responsibility that every population which need vaccine should receive vaccine. And this also reminds that as long as virus is circulating all around us, it will keep mutating, new mutation will emerge, new variants will emerge, and which can be threat to any country, any setup. So this is a reminder that countries need to work in solidarity to ensure the transmission of virus in all parts of the world is stopped. This is also a reminder that we need to keep doing genomic sequencing, and for every setup, it is a reminder that we need to increase vaccination coverage. Imagine the scenario that if Britain had not vaccinated, achieved that kind of vaccination coverage, and then Delta variant would have emerged, the scenario could have been very disastrous. But because of this, the number of cases have spiked, but they are even like within control. So it reflects both potential of vaccines in the setting where vaccines are available, and it highlights that as long as virus is circulating, there will be emerging strains. And the final part is that so this is definitely going to be a race between variants if a virus is circulating and slow pace of vaccination. So it reminds us the need for scaling up vaccination in all settings.
What the Delta Plus variant has reminded us is that the end of a wave does not mean the end of COVID-19. To learn more about Delta Plus variants, vaccines, and more, head over to the Quint Fit and the Quint websites. If you liked listening to this episode, please subscribe to The Big Story for episodic updates. We're available on Apple, Google Podcasts, Spotify, JioSaavn, and most of the other popular podcast streaming platforms. For other podcasts, please log on to the Quint website, and for any feedback, please shoot an email to podcast@thequint.com.
Thanks for listening. Log on to the Quint's website and check out our other podcasts.